Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Sarevsael deck profile for post-Fated Clash. These were the start decks that we received before the Cardfight Vanguard Divine's first booster set, with Sarevsael being the Keter Sanctuary deck. Pretty much a standard look into what you can get from playing Keter Sanctuary with the new added support from the first booster set, since we only had the grade 3 and the trigger lineup to work with from the actual deck itself. This is with the added support from the Fated Clash set. So with it more of a budget build for those that, wanted to try out Keter Sanctuary to see if it was their playstyle, but didn't want to fully commit to the Sarevsael lineup and just waiting to see if this, nation was meant for them. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual ride deck, we have the energy generator, which is, placed when you ride from your grade 1. Our grade 0 is Wings of Aspiration Soul, being the starter included with the start deck. This is the, with the card ability, grade 0 from Fated Clash. The grade 1 is Caring Sage. When rode upon by Knight of Calming Silence, Swilhelm, you reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a grade 2 or less normal unit, you may call it to rear guard. If you do not call a card, put the reveal card in your hand and choose a card from your hand, discard it. So just depending on what you reveal off of this card determines if you whether want to add it to your hand or call it to the field, which most of the time, unless it's like a sentinel or a trigger, which you would prefer to use for guard, you'll add it to your hand and then discard it or just call it to rear guard. Our grade 2 is Knight of Calming Silence, Swilhelm. When rode upon by a grade 3 with Sarevsael and its card name, choose up to one grade 3 or less card from your hand, call it to rear guard, and if you called a card, draw a card. So just helping to kind of sift through the deck more, setting up your rear guards, which is what Keter Sanctuary's playstyle is meant to do, with our main grade 3 being Salvation Wing Angel, Sarevsael, along with the copy we run in the ride deck, and with the main focus of the starter decks to be Persona Ride. We run 3 additional copies as well of Salvation Wings, Sarevsael. On the Vanguard circle, once per turn, you can counter +1, search your deck for up to one card with the same card name as this unit, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and this unit gets plus 10,000 until end of turn. So almost like an early access Persona Ride power to this unit before you Persona Ride the following turn. And on Vanguard, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can Energy Blast 4, choose a grade 3 or less normal unit from your drop, call it to rear guard, and gets plus 10,000 until end of turn. So more setup, and also with the Persona Ride giving another 10,000 power, the unit you call out can have a pretty, powered up attack boost thanks to all of the different card abilities in the deck as well. And energy blasting for this card's main unit are the main playstyle of this deck to begin with. For the other grade 3s we run, we're also running the 4 copies of Viral Core Dragon. When this unit is placed on rear guard from hand, other than during the battle phase, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Sarevsael and its card name, counter +1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 3 or less unit from among them, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. So I guess the only reason why you wouldn't be able to use this during the battle phase is because you would just have another column set up ready to attack thanks to this card. But on rear guard, you do have the option of when it attacks to Soul Blast 1 and gets plus 5,000 power. And if a grade 3 or greater card with Sarevsael and its card name was Soul Blast for this cost, you can either counter charge 1 or energy charge 3. So you can make up for the heavy use of energy blasting in the deck if need be. One of the cards I didn't have in the deck is Biscotti, the new Energy Blast grade 2. I know it's more of a pricier card, so if you wanted to run it in the deck, I'll show it grade 2. You can take out 4 copies of that Energy Blast grade 2 unit, but still making up for the Energy Blast power that you'll do with your Vanguard to begin with is a big help thanks to Viral Core Dragon. For the other grade 2s, one of the spots you can replace with Biscotti is the 3 additional Swilhelm that I run in the deck as well. On the guard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Sarevsael and its card name, it gets plus 10,000 power, making this a 15k guard, even if you go for the special intercept with this as well on the rear guard circle. So you can have this card be called out to the field and still gain the plus 10 shield when you intercept with it, making it also a bigger target for your opponent to want to hit on rear guard, knowing it has the bigger shield value. And then also for the grade 2s, 4 copies of Resurgent Dragon. This or Swilhelm can honestly be the replacements for Biscotti in the deck. With this card, when it's placed on rear from the drop, if your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, it gets plus 10,000 till end of turn. Now, while I'm leaning more towards Swilhelm for the replacement, the big power with Resurgent Dragon is if you Persona Road and also use Sarevsael ability along with its own, it'll be a plus 30,000 boost, making this a 40k DK attacker on its own when going up against your opponent. So even if your opponent manages to get 2 triggers off their damage zone, they'll still have to guard for this attack when you swing into them with it. And then for the other grade 2s, 3 copies of Divine Sister Langdua. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard in your soul, this unit gets boost and plus 5,000 power. So making use of the Persona Ride option of being able to then use the grade 3 in soul to give us a grade 2, which then if we call it out to rear guard and we have multiples in the same column, we can at least move Divine Sister back to the back row and be able to boost with it. And then if need be, after we intercept with the unit that may have been in the front row, we can then move this up the following turn, have a potential grade 1 to call to boost this, and then attack with it with the additional shield power. And lastly, for the grade 2s, 2 copies of Tolerance Wizard. When it's discarded from hand during your ride phase, you can Soul Blast 2 to draw a card. So just draw power to make up for the discard cost for our ride deck playing style in the deck as well, making use of some of the soul that we can build up in this deck with our grade 1 lineup consisting of 4 copies of Medical Shot Angel. When it's discarded from your hand during the ride phase, you may call this card to the rear guard as rest. Now, a big thing with all the discard costs, you do want to have a good variety that can at least make use of you discarding cards from the hand for the ride deck, whether it's a card that can be called out to rear guard or the draw power that Tolerance Wizard can provide. These are the cards you normally want to hope to have in your hand to make use of that, to then give you a grade 1 the following turn, even though it's called out as rest, to then be able to boost or attack with during the following turn. Also, the 4 copies of Noble Glittering Staff Sia. When this unit boosts, if you have 4 more units, Counter Blast 1, Energy Blast 2, draw a card and gets plus 5 till end of battle. So making use of the Energy Charge Replenish power also comes in the form of Viral Core Dragon, and being able to make use of the additional power with the boosted power that Sia can provide, but the Counter Blast power can also be made up for with Viral Core Dragon if you didn't want to replenish the Energy Charge power. And 3 copies of our Forceps Angel. When this unit on rear guard once per turn, if you Persona Road, Counter Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit from among them, call it to rear, put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order, and gets plus 10,000 to end of turn. So it's a once per turn on rear guard ability of just being able to make up for more of your cards that you may have intercept with, or your opponent may have tried to retire. Another target that may try to hit is this unit, but still one that can easily fill up your field again also. And lastly, for the grade 1s, 4 copies of the Sentinel, being Bringer of Protection Sithlon, just being the newest Sentinel and having the warrior aspect with it, I would say makes it very fitting for the Sarevsael deck. For our trigger lineup, once again, just being from the deck for more budget options, you can run the lineup that came in the deck. If you happen to get any of the new triggers, you can replace them with them. Having the 4 copies of the critical and 3 copies of Knight of Pressing Canal. If you have crits, you can replace them for a 7 of lineup. With our next one being the Draw Ample Bomber Angel, with our heal being the Bringer of Distant Sounds, with our over trigger being the Spiritual King of Aquatics, Eidos Faro, for the additional option to recover cards from our drop zone back to our hand. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely happy with the results for all of the different start decks that we've been doing. We have 4 finished on the channel so far, with 2 left to do. So definitely look forward to it. And then we'll also be getting new support for these decks in the following months with the release of Set 2, which we'll have to update these as well during that time also. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.